back again with another week of the Blue Corner. My name is Dennis, and today we have another special episode all the way from the US. I would like to say it's fight week, but we're a couple of days short from fight week. Fight week is next week. Our guest for today actually fights on a pretty massive card, I must say. It's UFC 262, which is headlined, I believe, by Oliveira versus Chandler. And yeah, it's got a whole bunch of interesting fights on that card. But I'm talking about none other than Jamie Pickett. He goes by the fight name of the Night Wolf. How have you been? And how has the start of the year been treating you?
It's been pretty good, man. A lot of good things happening with me, so I'm happy about it.
I have to ask you, and only because it's obviously been big news, and this is actually an interesting kind of concept, because over here I have to just point out that having your mobile on whilst you're driving is pretty much a loss of license over here right now. Like we lose 5 points, and it's something like a $600 fine straight off the bat. So it's just an interesting concept to actually see you driving and handling this interview as we go along. Because as I said, over here, they don't play with that kind of stuff. But I know that we live in different rules, different countries. And I actually like the fact that you're able to do this. But let me ask you this, just because it is been the big news of the week, just before we get started, obviously, on yourself, is the UFC have now become a public company. So I want to know, are you one of the fighters that are now co-owners of the UFC?
You know, I didn't even know we became a public company until right now. So thanks for letting me know. I didn't know.
Yeah, so basically they went, I think about 3 days ago, they went public. And I know people like Derek Brunson literally tweeted out real early on that he's now the owner of the UFC and he'd like Dana White to report to his office. But yeah, so basically at the start of the week, and that was the whole kind of hype. As I said, like it has been the talk of the town. And, you know, everyone's kind of like got the meme out right now that everyone's now this part owner of the UFC. So I believe they're going for about $25 a share. I don't know if that's something that you're interested, but I just thought I'd throw it out there because it is obviously what's making the news right now.
You know what? If that's the case, I'm probably going to buy me a few shares. I think it's probably a good investment, right? So, well, I'm going to bet on something myself. So.
Well, I guess it's also under your best interest, right? Because I kind of say, well, if you know the fighter pay in a sense doesn't go up, it means that you'll at least make money on the shares, right? So I kind of feel like it. You kind of play both fields. But listen, I first want to get started. I guess in the intro, I said that obviously you go by the Night Wolf. I want to know where that actually originated from. Like, where is the Night Wolf from?
Okay, so I have a few origins for that. So, like, my mom's side of my family is Native American, black and white, right? So I grew up loving wolves my whole life, and learned about Native American culture, Cherokee Indians, and stuff like that. And my favorite video game is Mortal Kombat, but was Mortal Kombat. And then at the same time, I named a ATV. I have a Raptor. I named it the Night Wolf because I race my ATV all the time. So everybody always talks about my four-wheel, how fast it is, and stuff like that. So one day I was like, you know what? I should be the Night Wolf. Not my football. I should be the Night Wolf. So I just started saying I was the Night Wolf. It just caught on with people around, like where I'm from and stuff. And then people say, hey, what's up, Night Wolf? And I just went with it. I just started calling myself that. It wasn't like a big deal. Just some weird ways things happen.
Which is funny because when I've only had the fight, but like when I walked out for my fight, my fight name was the Scorpion, so that's another kind of like throwback to Mortal Kombat as well. However, I had a couple of double meaning for it. Obviously, my star sign's a Scorpio, so I just thought it was only right to come out as the Scorpion as well, right? But yeah, I definitely had the face mask on and everything, and so a little throwback to the Mortal Kombat. On that, have you actually had time to check out the new Mortal Kombat film?
I've seen it like 5 times.
Okay,
I'm a kid at heart, man. I love it.
yeah, my next question was going to be: is it worth seeing? I haven't actually checked it out yet. I want to see it. Like, so the fact that you've seen it 5 times, you definitely recommend it.
Yeah, it's not like, see, people that say they don't like it, it's because they try to compare it to like other action movies and their other like plots. But the Mortal Kombat movie, they're going off a video game, so they have to put it as the video game goes. So a lot of people don't like it or understand it. The people that are actually Mortal Kombat heads, like me and yourself, we get it. So I mean, it was good. I mean, the acting wasn't that great on some characters, but I definitely liked it.
All right, nice. And so let's get on you. I want to know, like, obviously you've been in the game for a little while now, right? Like, I think I read somewhere you turned pro in 2011. Obviously you had a pretty large amateur record too, and I say that for a mixed martial artist. I know boxers obviously have a way bigger amateur record, but I think you had like a good 10 fights under your amateur record. So what I'm trying to say is, like, you've literally been at this grind for a better part of, I mean the pros was 2011, which means that's a decade. So you're pretty much 1.5 to 2 decades in the game right now, right?
Yeah, I started in 2008 as an amateur, so I've been doing it for a long time. I've played for a while.
And what is it that originally drew you, or how did you originally get involved with MMA?
Man, having fights all the time in school. Like I was fighting, I had a lot of street fights, fights at school. I was always getting in fights. I never was like afraid to fight somebody. Like, even now, like, I've never been like, well, I don't want to fight this person. Like I don't care. Like, I just whatever. I'll fight anybody. Like I'll fight.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, most people over here, obviously, they're more football players, and then they convert over to the martial arts or whatever like that. But I was going to say, because obviously, fighting is not your general sport that someone would pick up at school, right? Because it's not like a sport that you can say, okay, well, that's what I want to do while I'm at school. It's usually the basketball, the wrestling, I don't know, what is softball, I guess, or maybe in your case, baseball. But so what you're basically saying is that you had a little bit of a rough childhood. Is that where you're coming from? You like to scrap?
I mean, fighting is a poor man's sport. That's the first thing people understand. Fighting is a poor man's sport. It's, you don't have to have much money to start fighting. You got to have a lot of gear to go box or go do MMA. So it's a poor man's sport. And I was poor, and I ain't have nothing, and I wanted I was an athlete, but I wasn't really interested in other athletics. But I knew what I was interested in. I was interested in fighting people. So I put all my time and energy into that.
And did it get you into a lot of trouble in the sense of, like, did your parents get called to the school very often?
Yeah, my grandmother got called to school all the time. She's a school teacher, so she didn't have to get called. This when her classroom got her. So I was, she knows what's up with me. Like she knew, like they came to get her. It was because of a fight, and it was a fight. And I didn't start it. Somebody else started it, and I took it there. I finished it. Well, I was trying to finish.
Let me ask you this, like, so what was it a case that you kind of just fell into, obviously taking it to I guess more of a professional scene, or did someone like grab you, I guess, by the scruff of your shirt and say, hey, listen, like, rather than just fighting out here in the playground and stuff like this, like maybe take it a little more serious and make something of yourself, or yeah, as I say, or is it something that you just kind of fell into?
It was all on me, man. I tell people, like, I watch the Snoop Dogg interviews, and I do the same interview all the time now. Like, his not interview, a speech. He said, I like to thank me for getting up and doing all the hard work. I like to thank me for putting this creative mentality in my mind to do this. I want to thank me for the sacrifice. I want to thank me for dedication. And it was me. Nobody told me to do anything. Nobody guided me on doing anything. I did it all myself. I had a lot of gyms that bull job me around. I had a lot of so-called coaches only use me to help their fighters get right. I mean, it wasn't an easy upbringing in MMA. I had to go through the gauntlet. I had to figure out how to get around, get cars, girls would let me drive their cars and practices and stuff. I mean, I didn't have nothing, so I had to figure it all out. So, the only person I'm thinking is me.
Yeah, but I guess was there at least like then a fighter that you or fighters that you kind of looked up to? Because yeah,
Yes, Uriah Faber.
Uriah Faber.
Yeah, that's the person I saw, and I was like, yo, this dude is a beast. Like, who is this guy? I was like, that's what really drove my Uncle Carlton is the one that showed me the UFC first, and was watching Kevin Randleman fight, and he was telling me his background and saying he was a trouble kid at one point. So that kind of like, okay, kind of gave me an idea to do MMA. But whenever I saw Uriah Faber fighting, that's whenever I was like, this is it. I want to be like that guy.
Which is kind of crazy because you guys are like totally separate in the weight classes, right? Like usually when you look at like fighters that you kind of like aspire to be, it's usually you try to size someone up that's in your own kind of like weight division, right?
Right. So that's the one for me, man. Uriah Faber. And then I started liking Dominic Cruz like a lot. But I was always a Faber fan. Like Faber and Cruz, I like both of those guys. Those are guys that really did it for me. Yeah, but mostly, and Nick Diaz. Then I started figuring out who Nick Diaz was, and I was like, oh God, that really took me over the top. I was like, yo, this guy's really like me. He's a troubled kid, like he's always in trouble like me. So Nick Diaz was probably the most inspiration of everybody. But who started me, like as far as mentally, who I wanted to like emulate was Uriah Faber. But who I really like looked up to and wanted to kind of like, I had more in common with was Nick Diaz.
And I mean, speaking of Nick Diaz, obviously the rumors right now is that he's looking at making a comeback, right? Like, and I've heard right now that they've said, look, we're first going to see what Nate's doing, but there's some serious kind of chatter at the moment to say Nick Diaz is kind of looking at making a comeback. What are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think he's still got something to give to the sport? If he does come back, what kind of fighters would you like to see him kind of face right now?
I want him to have like a look at one of fight. I don't think they should throw him to the dogs right up. Give him somebody he can kind of get his confidence. I don't think his confidence is gone, but I think he needs to get somebody get his wheels rolling again. Give him somebody that can kind of test him, but at the same time, let's see what happens with him. Somebody low, and then give him a big fight. Which whoever he fights is gonna be a big fight because Nick Diaz is a big name. I mean, other Nick. I mean, the only person I say that's bigger than Nick to me is like Conor McGregor or somebody. Nick Diaz's name is the biggest out there, I think, besides Conor. I think Nick draws more pay-per-view sales than anybody besides Conor.
But I guess
think give him somebody he can shine on, and then give him a big fight.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying, and you're right. Like, I mean, as I said, as soon as the rumor started to come up, if you're in any of the chat rooms or anything, like, the buzz was there straight away. Like, and this was the funny thing. Like, I've always said, like, when Dana famously said, like, the Diaz brothers don't move the needle, and like when you can really see the buzz that's generated just by dropping their name. It's amazing. Like, I don't think, as you said, apart from like your Conor McGregor, I don't actually think there are bigger needle movers. But I guess, Father Time always plays a part. And I just wonder, like, do you think, they should throw him, say, another fighter from that kind of era, like maybe do the Robbie rematch or something like that? Or do you think like they should be giving him like a young kind of up and comer right now?
I think they should just give him somebody that's like, I don't know, somebody like coming up. I mean, let's give him somebody he can get his feet wet with. I don't think he should have a big, I don't think he should get Robbie right now. I mean, Robbie still, I think Nick will beat him still, but Robbie got some anger issues. They need to give him to somebody that's not he gonna have to really go. Give him somebody like style on a little bit, look good, and get his confidence up. I don't think he should throw him to the wolves right away.
And in regards to his brother, obviously Nate, we know who he's fighting. You liking that kind of a matchup with Leon Edwards? And I mean, he's actually on the same card as you right now, right? That's another one on the 262. So how are you feeling about that matchup?
Yeah, I love that matchup. I'm glad I admit it. I think Leon Edwards will fight for the title, but they be digging that dude around. But I mean, Leon Edwards isn't a needle mover like Dana White says. He's not a needle mover, but he is the best. I mean, he should be fighting for the title, not Kobe Covington. Kobe Covington probably should fight after, because Kobe Covington is one of the best as well, but he already had his shots. I think Kobe Covington should fight Nate Diaz, let Leon Edwards fight for the title, and then whoever wins that fights Kobe Covington if he beats Nate Diaz.
And if Nate Diaz beats Leon Edwards, do you feel that he should shoot up for the title?
Yeah. Well, not over Covington. No. Not over Covington. Reason why is because, Nate, he's going to make an interesting fight for anybody, but just the fact that Leon has done so much, man, he should get a title shot. So if he loses to Nate, I think Kobe should get it. And then Nate waits to fight the winner of that. Because, I think Kobe deserves a title shot too, but not over Leon Edwards.
And I mean,
Leon Edwards
the other one.
Leon Edwards fought Usman, and he didn't get finished. So.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a tough one, right? Because he came back after such a long layoff, and I have to say, he looked great. He actually looked really good, but we only got to see him for a round at that before the eye poke, right? So it's like, I feel like he looked great. So if we go on that one round, you can't fault him. But on the same token, it is just the one round, right? And as we know, sometimes fighters take a while to settle in, and especially when you're talking even the Diaz brothers, like usually, they start really kicking in from round 3 onwards. So it's like... It's like where does Leon really sit? And I think that's the only thing there is, like, he's had such a long layoff that you kind of like wonder, like, is he still going to be?
I think he'd be all right. I think I would like to see Covington versus Burns, man. That's what I want to see. But whatever.
And who's Burns?
I'm on one person.
Who's Burns got now? He's got Wonder Boy.
He does?
Yeah, so it's Wonder Boy versus Burns.
Oh shit, that's a good one too.
Right,
I ain't mad at that.
And a lot of people are wanting Wonder Boy to get a shot at the title too, especially because they're like saying, well, Usman hasn't fought Wonder Boy.
Yeah, Wonder Boy. I like Wonder Boy, man. Wonder Boy is that. Hey, I like Wonder Boy. He when he shows up, he shows up. So I like Wonder Boy, but Usman hard to beat, man. That's some serious talent right there, man. I don't know. There's a lot of skill right there. I don't think Usman gonna lose any of them, to be honest with you. I think, like, Edwards deserves a title, but I don't think he's gonna beat Usman. And Covington ain't gonna. Covington, to me, Covington is like the only person I think that can possibly beat Usman. But after they done fought that time, if they fight again, I don't think he's gonna last. I think he might be finished Covington. But if Covington did win, I wouldn't be like mad about it, but I just don't see somebody beating Usman right now. He looks unbeatable, but if there's a guy that's gonna beat him, Covington is probably the one.
That is true.
I still think Usman's good again.
I kind of feel like Usman is seriously probably the most underrated champion at the moment. Like I feel like he doesn't get enough props for how good he actually is, right? Like
He is good.
right, and
He's the second. He's second to John Jones to me. Well, I think him and Israel is like a tie, and then John Jones number one.
right, and the other fight that I would love to see is Covington versus Masvidol now too, right? I would really like to see how that one plays out. Only because obviously you know the history behind those two, so I think that would be, and I think that would do some really good numbers.
Yeah, it'll be some good numbers, but I think Covington will pull that out. I think Covington will beat him up. I don't think he'll finish him, but he'll definitely beat him up.
This is true. This is true. But you mentioned Izzy as well. Like obviously Izzy's, I believe in the same. He's the king of your weight class, right?
Yeah, he's the king. I mean, I was like, I don't want to be like far-fetched. Oh, I'm a fight. Like, Izzy is the ideal fight. I want to fight Izzy, right? Everybody wants to fight Izzy. He's championship title holder. He's the money. He's the Conor McGregor. He's Red Danny Knight. I mean, of course, we all want to fight him. But am I ready for Izzy? I don't think so. Will I be ready for Izzy? I will, because I'm only getting better. Like with my nerves when I'm fighting, like I start overthinking too much in fights. In my last fight, I overthought too much. So once I start settling, I got to settle in more. Just being under the spotlight in the UFC, I've been like not pulling the trigger, but I'm gonna pull the trigger on this fight. I'm gonna pull the trigger on the next, and I think I'm getting better at being me under those lights. I do better with a crowd too. Like it's not the whole no crowd shit. I don't like that. I like to hear that. Ooh, I like to hear that.
Well, you definitely brought up two conversations that I wanted to bring up, and one was obviously the mentality side of things. Like I always like to figure out with fighters, like are they the type of person that I guess likes to switch off, especially as you get closer to the fight, and or are you the type of fighter that obsesses about a fight, and I guess you know, as you say, maybe even overthink it. But if that's the case, what is it that you do to try to switch off? Because I know some people, like you know, fighters that I've had on in the past, they literally say they lose sleep over it. Like that's how much they overthink stuff. So yeah, how's your kind of mindset leading into these kind of fights?
I don't really lose sleep because of the fight. I lose sleep because I train so much. I get restless. But my nerves don't really kick in until like I'm backstage getting my hands wrapped. Then I'm like, oh shit, I'm about to fight. Oh god, I'm about to fight. Oh, this guy, he's probably been training way harder than me. Like, oh, you know, you start having these like anxiety attacks like right then, and it's weird because I don't ever feel that way. I'm always like laughing. I'm the guy in the gym. They say a name to fight. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't really care. But once I get in the back room, I start panicking and tripping out, and then I get in there and I'm good. But I do better with crowds, man. I like to hear the sounds of people make when you hit somebody. I like that.
And has that panic ever changed over time? Because obviously, like anyone that has their first fight, there's always going to be that anxiety and panic. That's 100%. Like anyone that says they didn't have anything on their first fight is straight up lying. Like that don't happen. Right. But like over time now, because as I say, you're 11-5 on your pro record, and then you've had I think 10 fights in your amateur record. Has that feeling ever changed over time?
Hell no. Hell no. Even guys I knew, like, they was like somebody for me just beat up. I was just like, man, this dude might knock me the hell out of here. Like, I gotta watch out. He might come out of nowhere. And I just be like, I'll just go in there and I won't be myself at first. Like, my last fight, I was like, I wouldn't pull the trigger because I was like, no, I'm getting knocked out. I'm getting knocked. It's my first fight. I can't get knocked out my first fight. I was so busy on making sure I didn't get knocked out that I didn't actually fight. You know, does that make sense? I was like, I'm going to get, because I'm like, they're going to meme me. If I get knocked out, they're going to meme me. Like, I'm going to be all over the internet like they did Derek Brunson and shit. They're going to have me messed up on the internet. So, my first fight, I was just so worried about being knocked out, I didn't actually fight. I was like, what is going on? And I didn't have my coaches either. They took my coaches from me on the way out when I was about to walk out. They took my coaches and said that they had COVID. So I went out there with just my manager.
Say what?
And a friend of mine, yeah, they took my coach. I didn't have no coaches when I fought him.
They took him on the walkout?
Like on the way when I was about to get my limo, like the day that morning before you get in the limo to go, they took my coaches. They said you can take Colin in there. Yeah, they said that they had COVID. They tested positive for COVID.
And they didn't pull the fight?
I just walked out. My manager.
That is crazy.
Like I don't.
That is crazy. But talking
I
about
was
gun shy, it kind of reminds me of when Derek Lewis obviously fought Francis the first time, right? I guess they had the same kind of feeling. They were so worried about knocking each other out that it just became...
Yeah. The only difference is my opponent didn't care about that. He was head hunting. And I was like, man, I can't get knocked out by this dude. I ain't gonna get knocked out by this dude. And I just didn't fight. I didn't fight like I usually fight. I was just zoned out on making sure I didn't get knocked out my first fight. And I just kind of I just didn't fight. I don't know. That's never happened though. That has never happened. It was because I was the first time in UFC. I saw the cameras and shit, and I was like, yo, I'm on ESPN Plus, like I'm on national television. Like, oh my god, I'm in UFC. I got the shorts on, Pickett, Reebok shorts. I'm like, I'm gonna get knocked out. They're gonna goddamn meme me. They're gonna meme me on the internet. And I was like, I can't get knocked out. That's all I was thinking about. And I can't get knocked out. And he did knock me out, but I lost the fight. And after I lost the fight, I was like, what the hell was I doing? I didn't have a coach to like snap me and like, hey, what are you doing? I didn't. It is what it is. Congratulations to him though.
Is that a fight though that you eventually want to run back?
Hell yeah. I'm not a person that loses a fight and don't think about fighting that person again. I want to fight your ass again. Like it's no like ill will to you. I'm a competitor, man. I'm an athlete. I like to win. So I want to compete against you again. I want to give you the real me this time. I messed up. And well, which I ain't mad if I don't ever fight him again. I don't like Robert Whitaker said. I ain't looking for him, but if his name came across my plate, I sign the papers.
And speaking,
I got this guy. I got this.
Yeah, go.
I got this guy. They've been like trolling me on the internet. So before I got in the UFC, I supposed to fought this guy right at 185. I didn't want to take the fight in the first place. It was like for it was for some. I can't remember what company it was for. And I got sick trying to cut weight. And I couldn't make the weight. I was sick. And I've never not made weight. So my manager, they all decided to pull me out of the fight. They pulled me out of the fight, and I felt bad about it. I was like, damn, I wanted to fight that. I wanted to fight him just because, I signed to fight somebody. Him and his friends, they get on the internet and troll my page. I'm like, dude, go somewhere. You know how many people I've tried to fight and they couldn't fight me because whatever happened, I didn't go looking for them and memeing them. It's like 3 years ago. These people still follow me, like talking to me. I'm like, get off my nuts. Like, I'm sorry your boy didn't make it to the UFC, but that's his problem, not mine. He would have lost anyway.
It's a weird mentality. Like, when you have people trolling you, like, I mean, I get the same. And sometimes I look at these comments and I'm like, the fact that you even like sit down and take the time and the effort, right, to literally, and majority of the time, I'll just respond to them with like a positive comment. I'm like, I'm one of those people. I'll be like, I'll fight you with love, kind of thing. And it's hilarious because like, then they don't have anything to come back on. But like, my whole mentality on it is, what are you doing with your life? Like, literally, like, you have these guys and they write this stuff and then you look at their account and they have like maybe one follower, right? And I'm like, you've literally created an account for this purpose. Like,
it's to talk to me. Yeah.
It's so weird.
He's like, dude, my thing is this. It's like, so you're trying to tell me that you have nothing else better to do. I have too much shit going on. I can't sit on the internet and write to y'all. I can't. I mean, what you want me to do? I got a life. I'm not going to talk to you all day. I got a daughter. I got a dog. I got a house. I got mortgage and shit. I can't be talking to you all day. I got sick grandparents. I got a mom. I got my niece and nephews. I'm always got with me. Hanging. I ain't about to talk to you on the internet all day. But what's crazy to me is just them talking about this thing that happened 2 years ago. And what you want me to do? You want me to fight them sick? what you want me to do? Like, dude, get out of here. My thing is, if you want to fight me so damn bad, make it to the UFC and fight me. You're not here. I am. So if you want to fight me so bad, make it to the UFC. Ask for the fight. I think they're trying to use my name to get in the UFC or get like a shot. They're trying to talk to me like, oh, this guy in the UFC was scared to fight me, and he's in the UFC. Imagine what I'll do. So first of all, Puna Cirillo, can't really say his name. I don't know. I think say his name. Puna knocked your ass out in the first round. Right? Puna beat the hell out of him. Me and Puna had a war of a fight.
And Puna's tough. I know Puna, and he's a tough dude.
He's a tank. He hit I've never been hit so hard. Puna hit me the hardest out of every fought. Puna hit me in the side of the head. I swear to God, all I heard was ringing for like 10 seconds. I didn't hear no cry. I didn't hear nothing. All I heard was a ring. And everybody's like, oh, you got hit and you ran away from him. Like, no, I got away from him because I didn't know what the hell was going on in my body. I thought like my damn brain was going to explode. I just started moving away from him because I was like, what the hell is going on? So I started moving away from him. Then he hit me again, and then the noise came back. I was like, yo, that was like the scariest shit I've seen. I was like, man, that was tough. But nowhere near not going to knock me out. Like, nowhere near knocking me out.
I always tell people I had the same sensation when I got hit. Like, with my bout is the same thing. Like I call it survival mode, right? Like it literally like everything shut out and you just didn't know where you were. It's like literally your body goes into survival mode. And the same thing, I call it like a vacuum effect, that all the noise basically went out. And I didn't even realize that there was a ref in there with us anymore. It was like literally me, my opponent. Like it was crazy, right? And it wasn't until I ended up submitting the guy that suddenly it was like a tidal wave that the crowd came back in, and it was just a crazy sensation, right? It was an absolutely crazy sensation. But I mean, being the competitor that you are, is that another fight that you'd like to run back?
Yes. Yeah, most definitely. I talk to Puna all the time. I love Puna. I love Puna. I love Tavon. I love them all, but I am very competitive, and I know that I could have did better on both fights. And I just want to prove it, not to anybody else, but to myself. Being the athlete that I am, I want to prove it to myself that I can pull the trigger on with these two guys. But I'm not looking for either one of them. I'm not trying to find them. But if their name came across my desk, I'd definitely sign the papers.
You're crazy. And I mean,
that's another thing.
You go.
That's another thing. That guy saying, just trolling my page so much. I'm like, why would I be scared to fight you if I fought Puna? Puna knocked you out in like a 30, like it was like a minute. Like, why would I be scared to fight you if I fought Puna? It doesn't make any sense. Sit down, kid.
No, and I kind of believe that at the level that you're at right now, right? Like it's the same thing. Like when people talk about like there's levels, there definitely is. But once you get to the UFC, like I don't think anyone in the UFC is scared to fight anyone. Like at the end of the day, yes, you get the nerves, right? You get the nerves before the fight, but that's I find that is more to do with that you want to represent yourself well, right? As you said, the nerves are more like not I'm scared to fight this dude, but I'm scared that I'll get knocked out or that I'm gonna make a fool of myself or this or that. So like the nerves and the anxiety come from a different place. But I can honestly say, I don't think that there's one fighter on that roster that's scared to fight another fighter. Like I think that's just silly.
None of us are. None of us are. I hate when people say that. Oh, you scared to fight me? Or you scared of this? I know nobody in the UFC is scared to fight anybody. I damn sure ain't. And I know that the fighters I know, they ain't scared to fight nobody. It's really about timing and money. Sometimes people don't even feel like cutting the weight for the date you're talking about. I have a family thing to do. I got to take my daughter somewhere. You want me to cut weight when I'm supposed to be hanging out with her? It'd be like it's a lot of things that go into this, to a fight camp. People think, oh, just fight. Man, I'm training 4 times a day. I know I'm not around my daughter. I'm not around my family. I'm just in the gym. So to put your mind and dedicate on a title fight and cut out the snacks and the food you want to eat, that's hard. So to do all that stuff, it ain't that I'm scared to fight you. Just the date they talking about, I might have something going on, or it's too soon. I don't fight cutting weight. I want to enjoy myself for whatever holiday, and then I'll fight you. Or they're not paying me the money I need. I want to get paid to fight somebody like you. I know if I fight you, I'm gonna get busted up. I know to beat you, I'm gonna have to go to a dark place to beat you. But I want to get paid. I want to get compensated to go in that dark place. And I can fight somebody else for the same money, and don't have to go to that far of a dark space to beat you. But this guy, it's gonna be a real hard fight. I can beat him, but it's gonna be hard. So I want to get paid more. You don't want to pay me more, so no, I want to fight you. That's all. It ain't about being scared.
So I want to ask you though. So life has changed since you made the UFC, because you just mentioned that you're training 4 times a day. Where I know after your Contender Series fight, there's an interview out there where you were saying you were only able to train once a day because you were driving trucks at the time, right? So has life changed since you've now crossed over to the UFC?
Yeah, big time. Big time. More sponsors. People paying me more. I got all my sponsors. I got House of Rayford is my biggest sponsor. They make sure I get everything I need. I got Mixed Grill. They give me a bunch of stuff. I got LCA, Performance, Sports Performance. They management. They're helping me out. They give me money. So like, I have money to train and pay bills and just focus on training. Before, I didn't have none of that. I had to just work, and train when I could. When I fought Petty, which is a good fighter as well, but I fought Patty, I only trained 1 time a day for that fight. Once a day, it was like for like 30 minutes or an hour. Sometimes twice a day. I didn't train that much for that fight. Like, I was doing a lot of cardio for that fight. Like, I haven't been lifting weights. I started back lifting weights again, but I wasn't lifting weights then or for my last fight because I was doing so much cardio. But now I've been getting it all like I need to because I got more sponsors, more people throwing money at me to help me with my training camps. Because it's hard to pay all this stuff and go to the gym. You're not getting paid to go to the gym. So you got to pay for these bills. I got my daughter. She has needs. She wants trampolines and all stuff I pay for. Then you got, which I don't mind. I give her whatever she wants. Then I got my niece and nephews that might need me. I got my grandparents. I got myself. I got house, a truck, bikes and stuff I have. I gotta live life too. I can't just be sitting in the gym all day. Then you ain't gonna want to fight. You ain't got no goals.
Is it fair to say though now that you're a full-time fighter now, or are you still having to work on the side as well?
I just train. That's it. I got so many sponsors. Like a House of Rayford, I got Mixed Grill, I got LCA. I don't have to work. I just train. They pay for all my living.
And I guess that needs to give you some confidence heading into fights too, right? Because I know a lot of fighters, like, one of their major fears when they get to the fight is like, have I done enough? Right. And obviously at a time when you were only training once a day, that probably was a big concern to you, right? Like, the guy that you're facing's probably been training, as you say, 4 times a day and stuff. And you're like, I'm coming in here like literally on 1 hour session a day. So does that give you more confidence now, knowing that like you're basically not leaving any stones unturned?
Yes, sir. I feel great. I feel explosive, got a lot of energy. I feel great just knowing that I can train all the time and not having to worry about paying bills all day.
And you brought up your daughter a couple of times now, but like, how does she feel about daddy fighting, or is she still too young? Does she understand, or
too young? She don't get it. She don't understand what I do.
Yeah.
She just knows. She just understands these big gifts and all the stuff that I get sent to the house. She knows her mom tells her, "Well, your dad sent it." Like, she don't know what I do. She's 3 years old. She's obsessed with JoJo Cinco or Siwa or whatever her name is, JoJo Siwa and Dora the Explorer. That's the only thing she care about.
But there will obviously be a time that I guess, whether her mother with her watches it from home or whatever, there is definitely going to be a time that I guess she will catch on to what daddy actually does, right?
Yeah, I have mixed signals with that. I admire people like Usman who can do both, and his daughter knows exactly what he does, and I guess he explained it to her well, and I'm gonna try to do that with my daughter, try to kind of copy what Usman did, so hopefully she gets it. But at the same time, I don't want to scare her, like dad's on TV getting bloodied up.
I mean,
Dad might die. I don't want her to think that.
there was an amazing scene. I think it was after the Dustin Holloway fight too. And I know Holloway, obviously he's got a son, not a daughter, but I remember that.
Holloway too, man.
And that was a massive moment. And I think as well, Dustin spoke to Max's son, and it was just that moment, daddy's all right and stuff like. And it was really, heartwarming in a sense. But I can only imagine, as I said, like for a son, it's probably like, as you say, a boy growing up, you sometimes go, oh, that's really cool. My dad's a superhero, right? But like, I guess for a daughter, it might be a little different.
It's gonna be different for her. She ain't gonna think it's cool. She more than likely ain't gonna think it's cool. If I had a son, I would definitely let him know. But my daughter, I don't think she gonna. But I don't really know. I've never been a dad before till now, so hopefully I do it right. That's so that's like any parent's like thing is hope we do it right. Like I don't think none of us really know what we're doing.
Without a doubt, and there's no actual manual on how to parent correctly, right? Everyone is like they do it by trial and error. But let me ask you this. If your daughter watches, obviously once she catches on and she's like, wow, my dad's amazing. And as she gets older, she's like, you know what, Dad? I want to fight. How would you feel about that?
Shit. I never thought of that. I don't think she will because her mom is so prissy. But if she did, I'll do the Frank Mir approach and just train her the best I can so she doesn't get hurt. Because little girls are not like little boys. Little girls gonna do whatever they want to do. Little boys, you can kind of convince them not to do something. A little girl, once their mind is on something, they gonna do it. So I just try to teach her the best way, so she can win and not get hurt. I hope she doesn't fight. I hope she becomes like a doctor or something.
Well, let's put that energy out right now, right? We'll have our fingers crossed for you. But I'm just saying it could happen, And as I said, like I've spoken to a few, and they're like, "Nah, I would totally convince them out of it." And I'm like, "But that's a little hard when that's what you do, right?" Or do you think it's a case of that you'll retire from the fight game before she is at that age? Or I don't know. It's definitely something that always plays in the back of your head, I guess.
See, that's my whole thing of like starting my businesses and stuff like that. Like I'm trying to get something started so I can teach her how to run it, and she can take over the business that I've brought up, and hopefully she does something like that. I don't want my daughter to fight. I don't. She's too pretty. I don't want her to fight. Well, pretty girls fight too, but I just don't want her to fight. I want her to do something else. I don't want my daughter getting hit. I wouldn't like that too much. So I want her to do something in the medical field or a lawyer or something. I don't know, something like that. Be like an engineer or something on the computer.
or a doctor, and that way, if by chance you get busted up, you can go now fix me up.
Right. I just don't want her to get hit. Like I don't like. When you have a dog, do you have kids?
I don't. I would love to one day, and fingers crossed it'll happen at some stage. But no, I don't.
Yeah.
But I love kids.
If you do have a child, you'll understand, man. Like the toughest guys in the world, like me. I mean, I grew up gang violence, stabbed and hit in the head with a hammer. I've so many fights growing up. I mean, you couldn't scare me with a gun. Like I'm just not a person that's intimidated by anybody. But my daughter, scares me. I'm scared of my daughter. I'm just not scared of, like, physically. I'm just scared of her not liking me or saying, "Dad, I hate you," or something like that. That's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of I'm scared of me and her not having a connection, or me and her not having a good father daughter, friendship. That's what scares me. I'm scared of not being a good dad to her. That's what I'm scared of. So, like, they make you soft when it comes to them. I'm tough with anybody, but with her, I'm just like, you know,
And I totally got that because I did see a post of yours. I think it was on her third birthday, and you said, she's the only person in the world that you would back down from, or things like that. So I totally, I totally got that when I read that post. I was like, like she definitely plays a key part in your life, so to speak.
yeah, she's everything. Like, I could, like, I worry myself, like, bad. Like, people talk about anxiety of fights. I don't really have anxiety, but I have to pull my truck over on the side of the road and sit for like 5 or 10 minutes at a time because my daughter lives with her mom in Miami, and I live in North Carolina. So I read crazy stuff and see crazy stuff on the internet, like mass shootings or pedophiles and all that stuff. And I'm not around my daughter to protect her, so I just start thinking about, like, just crazy stuff and, like, pull over and just, like, had to calm down, like, what's going on with my daughter? Like, somebody's, like, then I call her mom or I text her mom, like, how's Camilla doing? So it's like, that's where most of my anxiety comes from. If I can't sleep or something, it's not because of the fight. It's because I'm thinking about what's going on with her.
And have you ever used her as a form of motivation in the sense of, you want to provide a life for her? That's one motivation. But I'm saying, before you were talking about going to a dark place, have you ever, I don't know, like, had thoughts, like, in the back and, like, made your opponent, like, basically, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you basically, my opponent, my opponents, either tried to kidnap my daughter or something. Like, I'm just saying, like, just get you into that dark place where you're like, I'm going to kill this dude because he's got bad intentions. Have you ever used that kind of motivation?
Kind of on Patty, the second round, my coaches were like, my cousin actually told me before I left, he was like, this guy's trying to take Camilla's life. Like, she's like, you want to give her a good life. Like, this guy beats you. He's going to UFC. He's gonna give his kids a good life. So, which he still does give his kids a good life anyways, because Patsy's a great father. But in my mind, I was just like, I put it as that, like, the narrative in my mind, like, I have to win this fight to make sure she has a good life. If I don't, she won't have a good life. I told my coaches that, and they reminded me that in the second round. It was like, your daughter, like, she's not gonna have anything if you let him just take this. Like, you have to fight. You have to fight him. Like, be who you are. And I was like, all right. So I just got aggressive. Yeah. So she's definitely a motivation before.
And so that fight there in particular you're talking about is that's obviously the Contender Series fight, right? Because I was actually going to ask you there, like, what happened there? Because obviously the first round was kind of it was competitive. You scored the takedown. He ended up scoring a takedown on you, but you ended up getting him in the guillotine choke, and that was in pretty tight. I mean, props to him for battling through that. But as I say, it was a bit of back and forth. But then that second round, and I was going to say, what happened in between rounds? Because that second round, you just came out guns a-blazing, and like, you just threw caution into the wind. Like, and it was so weird. It was like, I wasn't sure if it was a feel-out process in that first round, and then you thought, okay, I can do this, or if something was said in between rounds. But, like, those two rounds were like chalk and cheese.
I didn't really feel like fighting. I don't do well with no crowds. I didn't feel like fighting, and I was just kind of like in there. And then whenever I wasn't expecting him to try to take me down, I just did not see him trying to take me down. If I thought he was trying to take me down, he would have never took me down. Patty, I mean that shit. If you're watching, Patty, I love you to death, but you would have never got to take me down. I just thought that I just wasn't worried about him taking me down. So once he tried to take me down, I was just like, this fool's really trying. He took me down. I was like, what the hell? So I got up easily, but I just wasn't really there. And then once I snapped into it, like, hey, you got to throw this away. And when I fought Puna, I was ready to fight. I was ready to go. I wanted to fight Puna. I knew it was coming. I was ready to fight Puna. I knew I had to be right to fight Puna. And Patty, it's kind of the same thing, but my mind just was on other stuff. And then second round, they started talking about my daughter. I was like, "You're right. I gotta do this right now."
When you say your mind was on other stuff, what was it like? Added pressure, the fact that it was your third time there. Like, did you kind of feel like it was now or never? What was that? Did that play anything to it? Because obviously, like, looking at your journey, right? Like, just so everyone knows, like, that was the third time you were at the Contender Series. The first two you obviously dropped, and I mean, it was even that was a long journey because I believe the first time was in 2017, and then obviously 2019 was your second attempt, which was against Puna, and then obviously 2020 was this third one. So it was a 3-year kind of like struggle there. Did you kind of feel like if you dropped that one, that was maybe the end of the road?
Yeah, I knew it would be. I definitely knew that was going to be the end. So I just had a lot of added pressure right there. I knew I had to get it done. So I had a lot on my mind with that. And then just to no crowd. I don't like that. I like to have crowds. I like to show off. I like to, like in the gym, everybody's watching, I do good. So when it's just me in the gym, just sparring with John, it's just me and him, or I've been sparring with just my training partners, Trey and all that, I don't really do that well. But if everybody's sitting down watching, then I'm going to do better.
Well, some people crumble under pressure. Some people excel, right? So it's kind of. I want to take you back to one of your fights though before the and literally I just want to ask you one thing on it. I don't know what it was. You used to fight for what were they called? Like Next Level or something? Is it Next Level?
Yeah.
And you had a fight, and this one I only saw on YouTube because I thought I wanted to check out a couple more of your fights, and I saw one, and I forgot what the guy's name was. It started with S. It was like Selva. It was like Selva. What was it?
Williams.
Or Savalas or something.
Savalas Williams.
Williams. That's the one. What was the start of that fight about? Like, you guys like literally didn't touch gloves. Like, you just went into the center of the cage and literally butted heads, I guess. What was that about? Was that just a bit of fun play, or was there some real bad sort of intentions there?
Nah, it was some bad intentions because like we never talked. He just was like sitting by himself, not really talking. And I talked to everybody. All my opponents, like Petty, all them, they all tell you, I talked to everybody. So he was really talking, and I didn't say anything to him, said anything to me. We got in the cage, and I just got in my mode, and I was just walking back and forth, and he was staring at me. So I started staring back at him, and then he started walking towards me, and I was like, what the hell? So I walked towards him, and then I stopped walking. He kept walking towards me. I didn't think he was going to touch me. So when he touched me, like Daniel Cormier, he touched me, I pushed him. I was like, hey, you about to touch me out here. And thank God he didn't step forward again, because knowing me, if he would have stepped again, I would have hit him. I'm like, you're not about to, I don't trust what you're doing. So, but that was not like, we didn't have like an argument before. It's just something that just kind of just happened.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, look, so let's talk about obviously this fight week that's coming up, and obviously this fight that's coming up. How much do you know about your opponent?
I know he's more of like a Taekwondo guy or karate or something. So he's a stand-up fighter, I guess. But I prepare, like for any fighter, I prepare for everybody the same. I do everything: jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, wrestling. Like I try to make sure that I'm good everywhere. So I mean, I'm pretty even in everything I do. Like I'm good at jiu-jitsu, I'm good at wrestling, I'm good at striking. As long as I get this right, mine gotta be right. My mind's good. My mind's there. Then you'll see me. But sometimes things get in the way. But I'm trying to get over that.
And have you tapered off on the training already? Like now that you're heading into fight week, has everything kind of settled down? Where are you at with the weight? Like, I mean, what do you normally walk around at? Like, what's the weight kind of cut situation with you?
I walk around like 228, 225. Right now, I'm like 205. So this week it'll be a lot of like I'll be cutting back on my food. I'll be doing more cardio this week and not lifting that much weights. Trying to get the weight down, and then and I just drink a lot of water. And then the week of fight week, I'll water cut. I'm water loading right now, so.
And obviously, you've mentioned that you love you love to fight in front of a crowd. I have no doubt that this is going to be a big crowd, especially what happened in Jacksonville 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Obviously the crowd are real keen to be back in the arenas, so it is a buzz. As I said, you're fighting on a massive card. Like there's some really big fights happening on that card. I have to say though, does the whole COVID situation give you any sort of concern? And the only reason I ask you that is the thing I found funny about the Jacksonville card was obviously after the fighters were walking out of the cage, there were a lot of moments where they were literally basically in the crowd taking photos, right? And I was like, wow, they're not separating you guys from the general public at all. Does that concern you at all, or you're kind of like, nah, the COVID can sort of do its own thing?
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not a COVID person. I'm like, I know it's there, but I'm like, if I get it, I'm not worried about it. I'm healthy. I ain't worried about it. Like I go to the doctor regularly, and I'm always real low heartbeat. I'm always good shape, good blood pressure. My sugar and everything's right. I don't really have any bad. My doctor never tells me to stop doing something or do more of something. He just tells me keep doing what I'm doing. I'm pretty healthy, so I don't really worry about COVID.
And I think that's the
Other
case.
people might need to worry about it.
Yeah, a lot of athletes who've got COVID have been able to manage it pretty well. Like, and I always say it really goes to show if you're in good health, it's a good thing to have. Let me ask you this: fight week. I always like to kind of like because I want to increase my playlist, but I also want to know what you guys are listening to. So, your top 5 kind of tracks on rotation during fight week.
Oh man, I listen to a lot of Eric Thomas. I listen to a lot of Eric Thomas, a lot of like motivational music he got. I listen to a lot of Tupac, Rob Bailey. I'm a Beast, something like that. What else? I listen to KRS-One. I listen to a lot of old school rap. KRS-One. I listen to Beastie Boys. I listen to Run DMC, Rakim, MC Shan. Stuff like that. I listen Public Enemy. I don't really listen to a lot of old school stuff. Or I listen to AC/DC, like AC/DC. Listen to that. If I'm gonna rock out.
Hey, that's pretty much the generation that I kind of grew up in too. So like I can totally respect that.
Yeah.
And like, what are your thoughts kind of leading into this fight? Obviously, I mean, on the last fight, you said like your only thought was like, please don't get knocked out. But like, do you feel like you're going in with a different mentality this time?
Different mentality. I'm going in there ready to do work. Like I'm ready to go. I'm in a way different headset, different mentality. I'm ready to go. I'm on that Nick Diaz shit, that kill to be killed type shit right now. I'm ready to go. Last time I was like, man, I ain't trying to get memed. I was really worried about it. Could have been anybody. Like the guy I'm fighting now. If it was him, it would have been the same kind of fight. I would have been like, man, I ain't trying to get knocked out because it was my first UFC fight. But now I done got my feet wet, and the crowd gonna be there. I'm ready to show off. I'm ready to get a highlight on somebody.
And with the memes, they are really savage. I mean, like literally, they're there like probably like 2 minutes after the event. Like the last one, Reyes. There's memes everywhere right now, right? Like you've got like
right. That's what I'm talking about.
It's like they're savage.
I'm about to start turning people into memes.
I just can't understand how quickly these things come out. Like there's literally people
Quick,
waiting there, right? Like it's like instant. Like
dude.
it's crazy. Like I saw one meme where it's like literally a beach, I guess in Miami or whatever, and you got Sterling lying on there. You've got now Reyes on there, and they just keep adding, the next fighter on
They
there.
keep adding, dude.
It's crazy.
Man, I'm just like I'm about to start memeing people. I'm about to start putting people on memes, like knocking people out and putting them on memes. But that was my worried about. I don't know why, because the internet is unforgiving. So I was like, yo, if I get knocked out, they gonna meme the shit out of me. So that's what I was thinking about on some just crazy, just weird shit. But now I done fought. I got it over with. I learned. Tavon taught me a bunch of stuff. I mean, fighting him, I learned a lot. I learned a lot in 2 fights. I learned a lot against. I learned a lot against Puna. And I learned a lot against Tavon. So I'm grateful for both of those losses. I don't like losing, but I'm grateful that I fought them because I learned so much from fighting them. So
Nice, not
that's another
nice.
reason why I want to fight them again.
Well, let me kind of like start to wrap it up. I do want to get a couple of fighter picks from you, but before I do, I just want you to finish kind of this sentence, right? And I just want basically whatever comes to mind. At the end of 2021, so what to you at the end of 2021? What can we expect?
2021, I'll be 3-0 this year.
Nice,
By the end of 2021, I'll be 3-0.
nice.
Or
And
for
you
as this year
and you
goes.
think you'll crack the rankings and stuff like that as well?
I don't know. Rankings is weird, man. They their rankings is crazy. I don't know. Sometimes they rank people right, sometimes they don't. I don't think I'll be on the rankings at 3 wins, but 2022 I should be in the rankings.
And only because it is your weight class. Obviously, being Australian, we as I say, we have a lot of respect for Izzy, but obviously Robert's our boy too. How are you liking that whole little triangle at the moment? How do you like Marvin against Izzy?
Marvin gonna get the same thing he got last time. Like he gonna get finished this time.
And
See, Vittori is the same. He's still the same fighter. Israel has changed, and I like Marvin. Marvin's a good fighter, but he's still the same fighter. Everything he do is the exact same. Izzy whole game has evolved, so he gonna knock him. He gonna knock him out quick. Like I say, second round, he gonna finish Marvin. Now Whitaker, that ain't gonna be so easy. Whitaker is gonna be a hard fight next time they fight. That's gonna be a hard fight. Izzy probably still gonna win, but I see Whitaker really changing up the game plan because Izzy, man, Izzy's good, but Whitaker's good. I think that's the best fight in the middleweight. I think that's the best fight in middleweight. But
to me, it's the only
yeah,
one that
Marvin
makes
about
sense.
to get up.
It's literally the only one that makes
Yeah,
sense.
Robert. Yeah, Whitaker and Izzy, that's the fight that should be happening. But Marvin, he deserves it, so I think he should get the title over Whitaker. He should get a title shot because he deserves it more. Because he's been fighting, winning. I think people deserve it should get it. So he should get it, but I think Robert should just wait. I think he should, because Marvin's gonna get knocked out, and then they should give Whitaker that fight against Izzy. Because Whitaker could pull it off, man. He could pull it off. I don't know. He could pull it off. I don't think he will. I think Izzy still gonna win, but I don't think it's gonna be like last time. He ain't gonna be no finish. It's gonna be a very competitive fight. It could probably it might even go into a draw. Because Robert ain't he's hell bent on getting that back. And Izzy's hell bent on proving that he can't beat him. So it's gonna be, you know.
I think
And Izzy's very hard to read too.
I think it'll be an awesome matchup. I really do. And the
Yeah.
thing is, I think it'll definitely, whether he wins or not, I think it'll be more competitive than the first outing.
Way more competitive. That shit might be a draw. That's gonna be a badass fight. But Marvin he's stagnant. He's still the same. He's good. He's really good. I mean that guy is definitely top 3, top 5, but he ain't gonna be Izzy. And if he does, hats off to him, but I don't think he will. That's just my opinion.
Nice.
But what do I know? I'm just giving you what I think.
Well, just since we're on the topic of Aussie fighters anyway, I'm going to get a couple more from you. Obviously, Alex Volkanovski is now the tough coach against Brian Ortega. Obviously, it's a little further down the track, but how do you see that matchup? Do you like it, and who do you think takes that one?
Alex, too technical. Alex, Brian's tough, and he's technical on the ground, but you can't get Alex on the ground if you don't want to go. And standing up, Alex. But I don't think he beat Max though. I thought Max won, but I think Max is true champion at that weight, and then Alex being number 2. But he's a champion, so I think after he beats Ortega, he should fight Max again.
I hear you.
So if he beats Max again, then I'll be like, all right, he's a champ. But my mind I really don't think that he.
But only the second time, right? The first time there's no disputing the first time. The first time Alex beat Max.
Right. Alex won. Won the first time. The second time, I think Max won that shit. I don't know how they scored it. But hey, like they say, you can't leave it in the hands of the judges. And that's what I don't plan on doing. I don't plan on leaving it to the hands of the judges no damn more either. So
Perfect. One more, because I just want to go 3 from 3. Another Aussie fighter who's got a matchup is Tai Tuivasa, Bam Bam. He's now fighting Greg Hardy. How do you see that matchup?
I don't know, man. Greg's hard to read. Man. Like, if he coming there on his killer shit, then Greg. But if he coming there slipping and not really wanting to be there, then Bam Bam. But I got Greg. I got Greg Hardy. Because Greg Hardy is just athletic as shit, man. It's hard to go against athleticism. Don't matter how good the other person is. It's hard to go against athleticism. Because being athletic, you're more athletic than your counterpart. It's about you fighting. You got an advantage, man.
No, and look, I was hoping you pick 3 from 3 out of the Aussies, but look, two out of 3 ain't bad. I'll get 2 more fights now that are not Australian related, and then we'll kind of get you out of here. So the first one is obviously now Glover is fighting Jan.
Jan.
You're not impressed with Glover in the last few performances. I kind of feel like, I don't know, he's grown a chin as he gets older, which is like uncommon, right? Like I don't know.
Yeah, he ain't hit by Jan though. I like Teixeira. I like him. I do. But I don't see him beating Jan, man. I think Jan gonna clip him early.
Fair play. All right, and the last one, which is the money fight. Obviously, it's Dustin. He gave up the title fight that obviously is taking place on the same card that you're fighting at, but obviously it's against McGregor. The trilogy.
Why'd you have to ask me this one?
Right. How do you see that one?
I'll say this right here. I can't pick, but I'll say this. If it's finished in the first 2 rounds, Conor. If it's finished in the 4th or decision, Dustin. I'll say that.
See, I'm going with Dustin, man. Like, and only because what he was able to do to Max as well. I just feel like Dustin is so strong at that weight class. He's a powerful dude, and you know, I don't know, man. I don't see Conor giving him too many problems. I don't know, but you could be right. Like if Conor blitzes him, I mean, look, he had him in trouble in that second fight too at the end of the round, I guess. But I just think that Dustin is a strong dude at that weight. It's undeniable. But look, man, I've taken up enough of your time, and I really do appreciate it as well. For people that kind of want to follow your journey and reach out, and I do warn people, they shouldn't come to troll you. right?
Yeah, not trolling.
Because we're not giving the trolls any sort of love. But like for people that want to kind of reach out to you or as I say, follow your journey as you now like make your way through this division and as I say, the next 3 fights in particular, so we can go 3-0 by the end of 2021. What's the best way for them to kind of reach out?
MMA, Jamie Pickett MMA on Instagram. That's the best way to reach me. Jamie
Nice.
Pickett MMA.
Nice. Well, as I said, man, that's pretty much it. Like as I said, I do really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's always a little hard, especially as you get close to the fight. Yeah, it's one of those things that I really do appreciate. But look, best of luck. As I said, I hope the crowd gets behind you. I hope it works in your favor. And yeah, I really am looking forward to this card in general, but I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for your fight because I think it's going to be fire. As they say, let's go. But until next time, stay blessed.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
I'm away.